All right, so welcome back, Kim, to another Art of Letting Go live session. So
Thank
let's
you.
dive into today's email, have a look at our daily quote, and a bit of teaching related to that, and it'll lead us nicely into our lesson. So let's do the lesson and the meditation. The lesson, that'll probably be it for tonight, I would think. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen with you. Okay, so if you can read the quote for today, see if I can make that a bit bigger actually. Where are we? Zoom that in a bit. Share my screen. So if you can read the quote from Carlos Castaneda to kick it off, kindly.
Self-importance is our greatest enemy. Think about it. What weakens us is feeling offended by the deeds and misdeeds of our fellow men. Our self-importance requires that we spend most of our lives offended by someone.
Yeah, and then you see, the person looking at the phone. Thought that was a really good. You could just see the ego in that picture.
Yeah,
Person pose, like, this the
just
self-concept.
posing.
Yeah, posing, oh, look at me. And this is the problem, the self-importance, the self-concept. So he's Carlos Castaneda, who's a was a Toltec shaman and author. He wrote a number of books about the Toltec spiritual tradition. Hits the nail of what causes us to be offended and to give offense to our brothers very squarely on the head, saying it's our sense of self-importance. So just another name for your ego, a self-concept. It's behind all the forms of offense you've ever experienced in your life. It may seem like other people and the circumstances are offending you, but remember, this is the great deception of the ego. It always tries to convince you that you've been unfairly treated and are the victim of people and events outside of you to justify the guilt, fear, anger, and hatred it wants you to experience. So that self-concept is critical. You can't be a victim if you don't have a self-concept. So in other words, anything or anyone in the apparently external world that offends you, it's really just a projection of your belief in your own self-importance to set you up for a fall into its dark domain of negative thoughts and emotions. So that the ego holds up the self-concept as this is your life, this is your identity, this is your reality, it's really important. But actually, it's just a setup to trick you into going into these negative thoughts and emotions, which just deny who you really are, which is perfect love. So turn this around, perceive through the eyes of the Holy Spirit, which is your remembrance of perfect love or oneness. Any apparent offense you experience is just an opportunity to let go of your sense of self-importance. That's the real cause of you feeling constantly offended by others in the world. And that turns it on its head, doesn't it? Okay, so the only reason I'm really upset about this is because my sense of self-importance has been offended. That puts a different spin on it. It's not really about the other person, what they've done. It's about my own sense of self-importance. And I have control over that because I can drop that. If I don't feel that self-importance anymore, then I won't be offended. So the ego's mechanism projection of your anger and fear outside your mind to convince you that you really are a separate, important individual living in a hostile world becomes the miraculous opportunity for your release from the prison of your own self-importance, if you can perceive it this way. And that's what the course is training us to do. So we'll look at it differently. Welcome it, because when you get upset, it means that your self-concept, your self-importance has been offended. And that gives you an opportunity to really look at it and make a choice to let it go, realizing that this is just causing you pain. So this is the true miracle available to you in any situation that pushes your buttons. And why are you doing the mind training and this Art of Letting Go program? So when you're tempted to fall into the ego's trap, you instead remember the truth and you choose freedom and happiness instead of bondage and misery. And it's just a simple awareness. Okay, this is just another trap. This is a trap. It's a trick to get me to be self-important, and that's going to make me suffer. And I don't have to believe in my self-importance in this situation. I can let that go. And that's what forgiveness offers, the letting go of the self-concept that you think is so important, which undoes that, which helps you let go of the negative thoughts and emotions, frees your mind back to a sense of peace and freedom and happiness, and it collapses the self-concept. So if you keep doing that, the self-concept gets diminished and diminished until eventually it's undone and there is no self-concept. And that we call enlightenment. That process we call awakening. So if you look at it in those terms, enlightenment, awakening, at-one-ment, whatever you want to call it, is really simple, isn't it? I mean, it's just a letting go of the self-concept, moment by moment. As your sense of self-importance gets offended, as will happen if you have it, you have the choice to let it go. That process of forgiveness or letting go then undoes the self-concept so that you don't get offended and then you don't suffer anymore. But it's very simple, theoretically. That idea conceptually. Okay, well, why don't we all do it? Because our sense of self-importance is so great, we find it very difficult to let it go when it gets triggered. And we all know that feeling. Well, I can't let that go because that's outrageous, or that's really offensive, and you can feel that sense of self-importance bristling. And the course is saying, just look at that and let it go instead of holding on to it. And that's the choice for forgiveness or letting go. So there you have, really, in a few lines and in this quote, the whole course explained. This is the whole process. Just the letting go of the self-concept, which is the sense of being self-important, so that you can find a deeper peace. And if you keep choosing that, you can't fail to awaken to who you really are beyond this self-important self-concept, which is very fragile. You guarantee someone like that, if she doesn't get the social media like she wants, if someone doesn't like the post, someone doesn't like her photo, she can be offended because she's very invested in her own self-importance. And so you've set yourself up then for pain. And the ego says, oh, this is good. I'll give you this identity. And social media was largely invented to give people a self-concept. It's supposed to be a communication device, but actually it's a device where people can create and perpetuate their identity, their chosen identity in the world. And that's why social media has been so successful, because the self-concept can get strengthened through it. Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, I think people look at other people's lives and they feel inadequate themselves because other people's lives have this appearance of it looking so much better. Meantime, I mean, that's just
Yeah, it's the
you can
Facebook Live.
say they're putting
No, no,
forth
oh, look at
their
me.
best self. Yeah.
Take all the best shots with the best lighting, and you put it on there, and it's just a show. It's images. It's not reality,
Mm.
because you don't know what's going on, underneath all that, what thoughts and emotions are bubbling under the surface of that happy smile, which you put on for the camera. inevitably, actually, everyone who's in the ego is not happy. They can't be happy. It's not possible to be happy in the ego. So it's all fake. All of that, supposed happiness you see is largely faked. Occasionally you get some genuine, posts that come on Facebook. But here's the thing, if someone's really genuine and you're just enjoying the moment, why would you bother to post it on Facebook? That's the question. It's like, hang on, I'm just in the moment. Like, why do I want to interrupt the moment and now start, taking photos and
Yeah.
just I'm in the now and it's happening and great and it's experience and then it's, as all experiences, they come and they go. And I don't feel the need to capture it and now put it onto some social media and say to the world, this is what I'm doing. Why do I need to do that? It's only a sense of self-importance that we want to do that. It's just my experience, and that experience was nice in that moment, and then it's gone. I was looking actually, I was doing a work today to prepare for tomorrow, and I saw an image of myself and Gabriel because I used it. I created something for him with the Liverpool song. So it's a moment in time where he was about 3 years old. No, sorry, he's about 5. Yeah, 4. He would have been 4. It would have been the holiday 2019, 2020. And I'm throwing a ball to him on the beach. And it's just, the ball's frozen in midair. I'm throwing the ball. He's reaching up to catch it. And he's this little, now, and I went, how fleeting that moment. That's gone forever.
Mm.
Right? It was a moment in time. And I remember that time. It was lovely, but it's gone. You know. And now, he's 5 years older, and that's never going to happen again. And there can be a sense of sadness in that. But that's you've got to just look at that and realize that's just the ego trying to make all these experiences real. The only realization from it is, well, none of it's true, none of it's real. Like, how can something so fleeting be real? It comes and then it's gone in an instant. You can't hold on to any of it. That experience is gone and it's gone forever, and you can't recapture it. Don't even try because it's pointless. You're just here now. You're doing what you're doing now. And if you can realize that, then you're okay because it's just whatever's happening now it's just the now. And there's no attempt to hold on to it. It's just happening. The stream of experience happens. You don't try and attach to it, cling to any of it. It comes in and it flows out. And there's no attachment, there's no resistance. And that's the enlightened way. You don't hold on to any of these experiences. So then there can't be any sadness. Does
I
that make
guess
sense?
just look at it from like you reinterpret like what you see in that photograph. Just go, oh well, it was you can still connect to the essence of it. There's a sense of joy about it, right? Is it a case of reinterpretation?
Yeah, exactly. So look at it differently. There was a moment of sadness when I looked at it, but then I was like, but
Mm.
just let that go because and these moments are so fleeting. You capture them um as on film as a way of trying to preserve them, but they're gone. It's an experience that comes and goes, and it's very quick, it's very fleeting. And to try and hold on to that is futile. So it's never going to work. So really it's just a call to be in the moment, in the now, moment by moment by moment, and let the underlying essence, life essence, the joy just flow through. That's always there. That's the one thing that's not changing. The now and the joy of life are the same. But you can't attach to any of the experiences because then that sabotages your joy. You just got to let them come, and they come and they go. They pass through, and you have a temporary experience. And if you're in your right mind, then that's quite a joyful experience. But then it's gone, and that form is gone, and it's replaced by another one and another one. And so our life unfolds moment by moment, experience by experience, but there's no attachment to any of it. And that's the truly liberated, joyful life. You can learn to live that way.
Yeah.
Because then there's no attachment, there's no resistance, there's no suffering. Experiences come and go. Yeah, of course they do. That's how the ego designed it. So you can't hold on to anything. Okay, well, that's fine. I accept that. What I can hold on to is the awareness that underlies all of it, that never changes. That, pure essence, pure formless awareness, that we call it a perfect love, in which I experience love, peace, joy, and that brings me a sense of happiness and fulfillment and satisfaction that the temporary experiences can't. So that's the art of it. Stay connected to that and let go of any attachment to or resistance to
Mhm.
the experiences. And the Buddha, said it very well. He said, desire is the source of all suffering. So let go of your desire, expectation, and let go of your expectation that comes in the form of resistance, which is the aversion. He called it aversion. So, oh, I don't want it to be that way. No, I really don't want it. That's another desire, isn't it? The desire for something not to be a certain way. So that's aversion or resistance, which then creates suffering if you do that, because inevitably it's not going to necessarily work the way you don't want it to work. It may well turn out that way, and in which case you're going to suffer. Or what you want doesn't happen, and then you suffer because what you want didn't happen. Whichever way the ego plays it, you're going to suffer. Which is why he said, desire is the source of all suffering. One of the most profound insights any spiritual teacher has ever had. So if we can just let go of that, then we're okay. Whatever happens, these experiences come and go, but it's fine. Because there's no resistance, there's no attachment.
Yeah.
But our sense of self-importance will cause that attachment and that resistance. You see the problem? If you have an ego which is self-important, then you're going to go, oh, no, but that's important to me, the little self. So now I'm attaching to it, or now I'm resisting it because I've said that this is important to me, the self-concept. And this is how the self-concept then plays out in the form of attachment and resistance to life's experiences, which then cause us to suffer. So the Course just says, well, look at that attachment and resistance, let it go. And by letting it go, you will let go of the self-concept, which is the source of all your problems. The
Yeah.
Buddha had some approach. He just said, well, there is no self, no problem. You go into nirvana where there's no self. That's perfect bliss. That's heaven, kingdom of heaven, Yeshua called it. So the approaches are, very, very similar, just different, slightly different terminology and language, but it's the letting go of attachment and resistance to undo the self-concept. So you go into the state of pure formless awareness, of perfect love, which is what you really are. And all the mind training is just designed to help you do that. Which leads us nicely into today's lesson.
Yeah.
In 49, God's voice speaks to me all through the day, or perfect love's voice speaks to me throughout the day. So should we dive into that? Let's go into...
Well, just a quick, like maybe thought to comment about that when, coming back to letting go and the detachment. I mean, I think just being, in this, well, being in this illusion still, And I guess it's about discernment of inspiration, but it's like when you were saying earlier on, like going through the motions, it's still like living life, but you might not get the inspiration or might not just come. And you just, I don't know, like if you're supposed to be, or if the answer is to be detached, does that inspiration come? Because otherwise it really feels like, what are we doing here? You
Yeah.
know, the point of the course is
Hmm.
is to correct the perception. That's when miracles will come, but it's like it
Hmm.
could be a while going through the motions before any inspiration comes. I think
Yeah,
that's just
there's a
uh,
process to it. It doesn't always happen straight away, and you can go through difficult time where you can sort of, well, what's the point of anything, right? As you let go of the attachments to the world, there's a sense of loss of, okay, well, I'm losing, all this stuff, and what does it mean anyway? Divine ennui, it's called in some spiritual traditions. We just go, well, what's the point of any of it? And that's the first three phases of Yeshua's six-phase process, or that process of undoing, process of relinquishing, letting go of the ego, sorting out what's valuable from the valueless. Those are the first three stages in the development of trust, which is this process of awakening. And they're not easy stages because you can let go of things and go, well, what is the point of any of it? And I feel kind of empty and those are difficult feelings. But what he's saying is if you persevere with the process and you're willing to go through the discomfort of that something's going to arise. You do find a sense of something else arising in your mind to replace that emptiness. And that's guidance. Then the Holy Spirit comes in, which is just a remembrance of this loving awareness that you really are. That comes in. And that presence gives you a sense of certainty, a sense of peace, of something solid, and you can get guidance from that. Okay, so what should I do? Well, you're going to get your guidance coming from that presence, that awareness, which can look at form, but just reinterprets it and says, well, okay, so let's let go of the self-concept. But your life could be, very useful to this process of awakening. You let the Holy Spirit use it. Your life has a, true meaning and purpose. And then it gives you the guidance. It says, okay, well, so I'll give you the thoughts and the inspirations, and then it's up to you to follow them or not. But there's quite a profound undoing process that's got to happen first. The first three phases are undoing of the ego, because you can't have all that ego stuff going on and then say, oh, well, I'll just graft the Holy Spirit into that, because the Holy Spirit gets drowned out by all of the ego's attachments and resistances, aversions, cravings and aversions, drown out the Holy Spirit. So it's a process and it can take years. I
mm,
hope that's helpful. There's no necessarily quick, easy way. Maybe you do it in an instant. It's possible. It does happen rarely that someone just wakes up. But for most people, it's a much slower kind of organic process that can take years. Let's have a look at where are we? Manual for teachers. Yes. So we get rid of that. That's in the way. Manual for teachers. So this is the development of trust, which is Yeshua's awakening process. He's saying these are the processes, stages you have to go through. So it starts with a period of undoing, which is normally painful, as he says. Need not be painful, but it usually is so experienced. because it seems that things are being taken away. And often that comes in the form of a crisis. Oh God, what's happening? My life's falling apart. And people really understand initially that their lack of value is merely being recognized. But you must see things in a different light. So what happens generally is things change, external circumstances change. And actually these changes are always helpful. And all you've got to do is learn that that's the case. Okay, so the disaster that I thought was such a disaster isn't really a disaster. It's actually designed to help me in this awakening process. And then once you get that, you go, okay, I've now gone through the first phase. I'm in the second phase, which is a period of sorting out, which is difficult because, again, the ego is still there. We must now decide all things on the basis of whether they increase the helpfulness or hamper it. So we'll find that many, if not most of the things we valued before actually aren't helpful. We have to let go of all of that all of the old values, the old thought system. So we valued what is really valueless, and because of that, we struggle to generalize this lesson. And then he's saying, so it takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. So again, same lesson, but we've just got to learn it much more comprehensively at the second stage. Okay, so this is like across the board, full transfer of training, as Yeshua says, that everything is helpful, even the most catastrophic apparent event. We're talking sickness, death, disaster, these things happen. It's helpful because it's helping me to let go of this false self-concept. So it's only to the extent to which they are helpful that any degree of reality should be accorded them in this world of illusion. And that's the only thing that's valuable. The word value can apply to nothing else. So this is applying this realization across the board without making exceptions, which can take years to do this. I know because it's taken me years. It's not easy, to not make exceptions. And then the third stage, you want to read that? Third stage, period of relinquishment.
The third stage through which the teacher of God must go can be called a period of relinquishment. If this is interpreted as giving up the desirable, it will engender enormous conflict. Few teachers of God escape the distress entirely. There is, however, no point in sorting out the valuable from the valueless unless the next obvious step is taken. Therefore, the period of overlap is apt to be one in which the teacher of God feels called upon to sacrifice his own best interests on behalf of truth. He has not realized as yet how wholly impossible such a demand would be. He can learn this only as he actually does give up the valueless. Through this, he learns that where he anticipated grief, he finds a happy lightheartedness instead. When he thought something was asked of him, he finds a gift bestowed on him.
Oh, so what's he saying there? You've got to do it. Finally, you've got to take all this learning. You've actually got to do it. You've got to let go of what's valueless. And there will be conflict, and the ego is going to struggle and say, no, you've got to hold on. It's a period of overlap. And so our mind is vacillating, and we have a split mind. And that can last for quite a while, sometimes years. But we have to do it. We have to recognize what's valuable and what's valueless, and then make the choice accordingly. It's okay, I'm gonna let this go because it is actually valueless and I see it. And when we do that, we find happiness, we find peace, lightheartedness, instead of the grief we thought we'd find. And then we go, oh wow, actually this is a surprise. Actually, so this does work. And then you start to trust it. This process that Yeshua's taking me on, is actually going in the right direction. And I am finding the peace and the happiness that I yearn for through this process. So this is quite a major, to get through the first three stages is halfway there. You're halfway to awakening. It's to get to stage 4 is quite advanced. Many people don't in their entire life. Period of settling down, where, he says a quiet time when the teacher of God rests a while in reasonable peace. That's kind of funny. Reasonable. Okay, so he's telling us, yes, there's still going to be upsets, but you've learned to generalize this training and not value the valueless. So you can restore your mind to this peace generally fairly quickly. So your learning is consolidated. You begin to see the transfer value of what you've learned. You're going, okay, this is my whole way out here. If I just take this to its logical extreme, which is a complete letting go, then that lets go of my ego, my separate self-concept, my body, the world, and I'm free. And you start to see, the light at the end of the tunnel. Give up what you do not want, keep what you do. How simple is the obvious and how easy to do. But then he
Yeah,
gives a caveat. Teacher of God needs this period of respite. He's not yet come as far as he thinks. So you might go, well, I'm actually quite enlightened. This is when the spiritual ego can develop, because I'm now got a spiritual side to me, and I'm on a spiritual path, and so on. And everyone does that. But yet, but we are making progress towards the ultimate goal of complete letting go. And when he's ready to go, and he goes with mighty companions beside him. Those mighty companions, you interpret that in different ways. You could say it's people, but it's actually the awareness of truth. It's these ideas that go with you. I rest a while, gathers them before going. I will not go on from here alone. So now you've learned enough. The truth is with you, and there's enough awareness of that truth that you can't ever lose it again. So, if things go awry as they do in the world, you remember the truth. You remember, okay, just let me not value what is valueless. This is just about forgiveness. It's about letting go. If I'm triggered by this, it's about letting go of my self-concept. That's what's making me feel upset. And you start generalizing that principle. And then the fifth stage is a period of unsettling. If you want to read that, it's here that the learning is consolidated. Sorry, no, period of unsettling. Now must the teacher of God understand he did not really know what was valuable and what was valueless.
the next stage is indeed a period of unsettling. Now must the teacher of God understand that he did not really know what was valuable and what was valueless. All that he really learned so far was that he did not want the valueless and he did want the valuable. Yet his own sorting out was meaningless in teaching him the difference. The idea of sacrifice, so central to his own thought system, has made it impossible for him to judge. He thought he learned willingness, but now he sees that he does not know what willingness is for. And now he must attain a state that may remain impossible to each for a long, long time. He must learn to lay all judgments aside, and ask only what he really wants in every circumstance. Were not each step in its direction so heavily reinforced, it would be hard indeed.
So yeah, he's saying you've got to let go of all judgment. And that's very difficult for the ego. Impossible for the ego. The ego is always judging. It's letting go of all of that egoic judgment, the condemnation, criticism, blame, attack, all of that's got to go, and you just find this period of achievement, once you've let everything go, is you realize everything is just love. There's actually really only love. You see that clearly. You've done so much letting go that none of the ego thoughts and ideas and beliefs are really there anymore. Even if things appear to be egoic, you don't make them real in your mind. You've gone through this a lot and a lot of forgiveness to get to the period of achievement, which is where learning is consolidated, and now you have the peace of God that surpasses all understanding. Now this can be counted on in all emergencies. So any crisis that comes, you can let it go. You've trained your mind well enough to it's not to say you won't get challenges. And even Yeshua, at this advanced state, period of achievement in his last 3 years of life, he was in that stage. He still had a massive challenge. He still had challenges to face with the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and eventually they crucify him. That's a bit of a challenge, to say the least. But he was able to apply his learning and in that very difficult situation, still say, well, I'm gonna just, not my will, but thy will be done. That's a laying aside of all judgment and saying, well, I've just got to go through this process, trust the process, and forgive no matter what. Even though they've crucified me in this brutal way, I must still forgive them, Father, for not knowing what they do. Fortunately, most of us won't have such lessons to learn. We still have challenges, but not on that level. So he's saying this is the stage of real peace. In fact, you read it, Kim. Read the last one. It's a nice way to just end this little passage.
About number 8, eh? The period of achievement
Yeah,
still.
yeah, yeah.
And finally, there is a period of achievement. It is here that learning is consolidated. Now, what has seemed as merely shadows before becomes solid gains to be counted on in all emergencies as well as tranquil times. Indeed, the tranquility is their result, the outcome of honest learning, consistency of thought, and full transfer. This is the stage of real peace, for here is heaven's state, fully reflected. From here, the way to heaven is open and easy. In fact, it is here. Who would go anywhere? A peace of mind is already complete. And who would seek to change tranquility for something more desirable? What could be more desirable than this?
Yeah, so this is the stage of awakening, enlightenment, where you're just in peace and you're in the flow of life. And even if so-called crises and emergencies come, you let them go very quickly and easily because you've mastered forgiveness, mastered the art of letting go. We call it in our language. And so you can just, let go and find your flow. You go with the flow. There's an underlying peace no matter what the situation is. And you realize, well, it's here now, right? Peace is here now. I don't actually need to go anywhere because heaven is here now. In the moment of experiencing this peace, I'm in heaven. I'm in the state of pure awareness. You realize, well, what do I want except this? So it's a stage of complete fulfillment. There's no longer any desire because you're quite happy with your existing state, which is peaceful. You say, well, why would I want to exchange that for anything else? What could be more desirable than this, as he says? So this is the final stage of awakening, enlightenment, being in a state of peace, the peace of God that surpasses all understanding. The apostle called it being in a state of flow. All these terms refer to the same thing, really, which is unusual. And there's not many people who operate on this level all the time. Most of us are somewhere in the first 5 stages, trying to get there. But you do, every now and then someone comes along who attains that state, like a Jesus or a Buddha, and then they become the masters of the world. They become the teachers of God, who are very advanced, who are there to teach us all. Well, this is how it looks, by demonstration. Because if we didn't have their example, how would we know what it actually looks like to be in this state?
Mm.
So yeah, it's very valuable that they are these people. They have been these people in history, because we can then see how it looks. We can see how they thought, how they behaved, and that's a signpost for seekers who are somewhere in this process. You say, well, okay, I know where I'm going, and I'm following this guide. Let's see, choose Yeshua as your guide. Then you're saying, well, he's my teacher, and I'm going to follow in his way to get to the same state as he did. And that's really all a religion is. It's following the way that the teacher who founded that religion followed, and being faithful to his example, practicing what he taught, so that you can get the same outcome. You can ultimately become as he was. As Yeshua said, he said, I am one with you and you are one with me, and we're all one with the Father. And he said, you'll do these things that I've done and even greater things. He didn't claim any specialness. He said, you'll get there. Just follow my way. I'm the way, the truth, and life. The only way to the Father is through me. Follow my example, essentially, and you'll get there. You'll get to the Father, the source, heaven, whatever you want to call it. You'll get to this state of pure formless awareness and perfect love, if you follow my guidance, because I've got there. So I know the way. I can show you the way. Yeah, so that's the development of trust. So, if you're in one of the first 3 phases, it can feel, not great. It can take quite a long time. You can feel various emotions. What's the point of any of it? Apathetic. It's all futile, pointless. And that's part of the undoing process. But trust that if you carry on going through it, that these other stages will unfold. You will get to a period of settling down, which is quite nice. That's quite peaceful. And if you keep going to the end, you'll get to the enlightened state, period of achievement. Why do you know this? Because Yesh was telling you, if you trust him, saying, well, trust your guide. He's not leading you down the garden path. He's telling you that this is what will unfold, because he knows, because he's walked the path himself. He's been through these stages, and he's helped many, many people to go through these stages subsequent to that.
So which is this
Okay.
level that you said maybe people might mostly get to? Yeah, I'm sure, I think you said the 5th. Is it not maybe the 3rd or?
Yeah, so period, this level 4 is what a lot of people mistake for enlightenment. They go, I'm there, and then the spiritual ego develops, and they give themselves special names, and they think they're very clever. That's the spiritual ego. But
Is
actually, as
that
he says, they haven't come as far as they thought. Period is settling down.
settling down? Okay.
So there's peace, and there is some genuine letting go and forgiveness. And so there are some real gains. But he says he's not yet come as far as he thinks. Now he begins to see he has not yet come as far as he thinks. So this could be called false enlightenment, because there's still another massive stage to go through, which is the final undoing of the ego. This is the relinquishment of the ego, the collapsing of the self-concept. And laying all judgment aside means that the self-concept is no longer judging. You've only got the remembrance of perfect love that is there interpreting every situation for you. So its judgment replaces all egoic judgments. That's what he means by lay all judgment aside, till eventually, at this stage, judgment isn't required anymore because you're just in the peace of God. And there's the largely, there's no forgiveness even required anymore. It's a very advanced stage. So he does say this, this might take a long, long time to let go of all the ego's judgments, because this is the collapsing of the entire ego self-concept has to happen for this to happen, and then to get to the period of achievement. So yeah, it's an interesting framework to say, okay, this is how the awakening process is going to happen. It's similar to the hero's journey. It's not necessarily all sequential. You'll tend to go through this, you might hit this, and then you might go back. It's possible to go back into some of these phases. You seem to be going backwards. But it gives us a framework. It's helpful in understanding that there's a process to this. That it isn't, okay, suddenly I'm going to do the course and then get to the period of achievement. There's 5 stages before that to go through, and that's the work. Right? So I think it's quite helpful because it's realistic. It's saying this is probably what you're gonna have to go through. And it might take a long time, it might take your entire life. I'm still working on this stuff. So you just keep, it's a process, a work in progress, until you get to the period of achievement. When you're at that period of achievement, you'll know, because you'll have this tremendous peace that's unshakable. You're still finding the ego coming in, and you get upset, then, well, you're not quite at the period of achievement yet. There's still a period of unsettling going on, or maybe one of the first 3 phases still happening. Yeah, so any further questions about that? I'm just going to turn on the light. Lower the light so you can actually see me. It's getting rather gloomy. Okay, so let's have a look at the lesson then, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, so this is lesson 49. We're on to today. God's voice speaks to me. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. Lesson 49, which isn't very long, so we'll read it. Original and alternative. There's 2 of us, so I can read the original if you like. You read the alternative. Should we do it that way? Just sentence. So God's voice speaks to me all through the day.
Perfect love's voice speaks to me throughout the day.
Yeah, and so that perfect love just puts a different spin on it, I guess, to try and really feel that loving presence. God, as we know, can be problematic for people to really connect to. So it's quite possible to listen to God's voice all through the day without interrupting your regular activities in any way.
It is quite possible for me to listen to perfect love's voice throughout the day without interrupting my regular activities in any way.
The part of your mind in which truth abides is in constant communication with God, whether you are aware of it or not.
The part of my mind in which truth resides is constantly aware of perfect love, whether I am aware of it or not.
It is the other part of your mind that functions in the world and obeys the world's laws.
It is the other part of my mind that functions in the world and obeys the world's laws.
It is this part that is constantly distracted, disorganized, and highly uncertain.
It is this part that is constantly distracted, disorganized, and highly uncertain.
Then from the top in the alternative,
It is quite possible for me to listen to perfect love's voice throughout the day without interrupting my regular activities in any way. The part of my mind in which truth resides is constantly aware of perfect love, whether I am aware of it or not. It is the other part of my mind that functions in the world and obeys the world's laws. It is this part that is constantly distracted, disorganized, and highly uncertain.
okay, so any thoughts on that?
It's talking about the one, our true mind. So referencing is, we have a split mind. One is in communication with God because that's the true mind. The other one is the split off with the ego, which is functions in the world of laws, and that's the one which is distracted, it's complicated, it's disorganized.
Yeah, I mean,
This
it
is
comes
one
back to what we
state.
were discussing in our expression, wasn't it? You said the world is chaotic. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. It's chaos. Distracted, disorganized, highly uncertain, by chaos. And you just have to look at, the way the ego's world works to see that. The question is, do you join in with that? Do you allow your mind to go into distraction, disorganization, all this uncertainty? Or are you able to find calm, still, quiet center in the midst of all that and not be affected by it? And that's the question every human being on the planet has to, ask and answer for themselves. The more spiritual one becomes, the more one lets go of the distraction and disorganization and the uncertainty and the chaos. And you find the still, calm, quiet voice of peace and certainty within that. That's okay. I'm not shaken by any of this stuff. But the more attached you are to the world, the more distracted, disorganized, and uncertain you're going to be, which is not a good state to be in. So the majority of people probably function in varying degrees of distraction, disorganization, and uncertainty. And it's no wonder that they're not happy, and that there are so many illnesses and so on. Stress, anxiety, so on. The stress, as we know, is the biggest killer, because people are operating in this distracted, disorganized, uncertain state of mind for their entire lives. Well, what do you expect? If you keep doing that, then that is going to negatively affect the mind and the body. Okay, so happy with number one. Let's go on to number two, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
So the part that is listening to the voice for God is calm, always at rest, and wholly certain.
The part that is listening to the voice for perfect love is calm, always at rest, and wholly certain.
It is really the only part there is.
Is really the only part there is.
The other part is a wild illusion, frantic and distraught, but without reality of any kind.
The other part is a wild illusion, frantic and distraught, but without reality of any kind.
Let's make that a capital R, shall we? So reality, capital R, indicates the truth, right? Anything capitalized means ultimate truth, eternal reality. Try today not to listen to it.
Today I choose not to listen to it.
Try to identify with the part of your mind where stillness and peace reign forever.
Try to identify with the part of your mind where stillness and peace reign forever.
Yeah, you read an alternative. I identify.
I identify with the parts of my mind where stillness and peace exist forever.
So I choose to identify, shall we? Try to hear God's voice call to you lovingly, reminding you that your Creator has not forgotten his Son.
Try to hear, I hear perfect love's voice call to me lovingly, reminding me that my source has not forgotten its extension.
And then from the top,
The part that is listening to the voice for perfect love is calm, always at rest, and wholly certain that it is really the only part there is. The other part is a wild illusion, frantic and distraught, but without reality of any kind. Today, I choose not to listen to it. I choose to identify with the part of my mind where stillness and peace exist forever. I hear perfect love's voice call to me lovingly, reminding me that my source has not forgotten its extension.
okay, so thoughts on that?
Well, okay, so the part that's we need to listen to, well, the part that we listen to is the voice for perfect love. Otherwise, the other part, if we had to listen to the other part, it is wild illusion, which is the uncertain, it's the disruptive, it doesn't have reality. So there's two parts, and we choose to listen to the part which is the true part, the part which is of love and stillness and peace. So that's what we choose, is to listen to the true part.
Hmm. And that's the only choice we have to make, but it's not an easy choice always. Because that, wild illusion, frantic and distraught, can seem to be very real to us.
Well, it's very loud in that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
when
like
you're
I
caught
would
up
go
in the
to
frantic,
the
distraught
dominant.
thoughts, yeah, it can seem to be reality and really negatively affect our mind, our lives. So we have to learn to look beyond that, to the stillness and the peace that are always there, but have been covered over by the frantic,
Mhm.
distraught craziness of the ego. And learn to see that, that none of that is really true. It's just a mask, it's a mirror. It covers over the truth. And I had that sort of awakening Satori moment after the 9 days of meditation. It was very, very clear to me that it's just the illusion, the world is just a cover over this pure awareness that I experienced. So the world is just a projection of my mind, and the only purpose is to engender the thoughts and emotions that cover over this awareness that I just experienced. And I really got that. It's like, oh my God, I get it. That's why it's called the veil of illusion. And that's why, as within, so without, it's my mind, it's wanting to cover over this awareness. And then it's created this whole illusion of an external world to justify the covering over. So the world is just a projection of this frantic, wild, distort feeling that keeps triggering it, keeps perpetuating. The more we get caught up in the world, the more frantic and distraught our minds become. But none of that is reality. It's just a covering over. It's a mask, the veil of illusion that covers over that pure awareness that is our true reality, that the ego is desperately trying to cover over with all of this frantic, distraught activity. Because as soon as we become aware of that stillness and peace, our mind comes home and we go, oh, I like this. This is now home. This is comfortable. Why would I want to go anywhere else? So it has to do its best to keep us as far away from that stillness and peace as it possibly can. And it uses the crazy world of illusion to stimulate the frantic, distraught, crazy thoughts that keep us spinning around in this wild illusion. And when you understand that, it all makes sense. You're like, okay, I get it. I understand why the world is the way it is then. And so I understand exactly what I've got to do. The only way out of this is to let go of the crazy, wild, frantic thoughts and emotions and find the stillness and this peace that's there, but it's covered over. My task becomes to just let go of all the craziness, find the stillness and peace, no matter what the apparent temptation is not to find peace, to go into the wild illusions, frantic and distraught. Because it has a pulling power, as you say, it seems to be powerful and dominant, and just because we've given it that power. If you practice something over and over again, then you give it a seeming reality and a power over you that it doesn't actually have. So we then have to practice undoing all of that, which is why this is a course in undoing of the ego, to find this stillness and this peace that are always there. You don't have to go and create the peace. It's already there. You just have to let go of what covers it over to experience it. So this is, the primary difference between this kind of non-dual teaching and, say, a personal growth teaching. Personal growth says you're somewhat dysfunctional, but we're going to teach you how to become better and self-actualize. This is saying, no, 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 no. You're already perfect. This stillness and this peace is already within you. It has to be, because that's your true nature. That's eternal. And you've just got to let go of what's covering it over to rediscover it. And then that can look like growth, but actually you're just going back to who you originally were. You're not trying to become something more than you already are. You're just trying to realize that you already are that, you see. And so those are the two major streams of any kind of growth. It's, growth from dysfunction and lack. Oh, I'm not quite good enough. I'm going to try and become something better to compensate for that. So in other words, create a better self-concept, which is still illusory. And most of the personal growth industry is based on that delusion. And then there's the truth, which comes in these kinds of paths like the Course in Miracles and other non-dual paths, which says, no, you already are that. I am that I am. You just have to realize it. You've covered it over with all these illusions. You've just got to let those go to realize what you are. But fortunately, because you already are that, you don't have to become it. You just got to realize that you already are it. Much simpler than trying to become something you're not. And obviously you're going to fail because it's all illusory. You can't become a better false self. That whatever version of yourself that you construct is still false, and it's going to fail you in the end. Which is why those pathways that focus on building a false self-concept, they in the end fail. People don't find the peace of God. It's a possible understanding of it, but it can lead them to onto a spiritual path where they start realizing that there's another way. That was most people start with personal growth. I did, certainly. And then at some point you go, hang on, maybe there's something not quite right here. It's not resonating with me. It's not working for me. And then, you start moving into the alternative way, which is realizing that you are already that. You just got to let go of whatever covers that over, which makes much more sense, is much easier actually than the other path. But when you're on that first path, you don't necessarily know. It all seems to be quite, feasible and possible. When I get there, when I accomplish that, when I do that, when I achieve that, then I'll be a better self, and then I'll feel happy. That's quite a convincing argument for the ego. Until we try it out and we realize, well, that actually didn't work. Just ask countless Hollywood celebrities. You tried it out, you thought you'd get there, you achieved the success you yearned for, and then when you got there, it wasn't what it was cracked up to be. And then the real work started. Then you had to, if they grow from that, then there has to be a spiritual process of letting go of all of that attachment and letting go of the self-concept that they valued so much, and finding a transcendent peace. And some have done that in that industry. Like I can think of Jim Carrey, Tina Turner, Anthony Hopkins, found some deeper
Yeah.
meaning and purpose. Hmm?
I don't know, Anthony Hopkins. Okay.
Yeah, he's quite enlightened. Yeah,
Okay.
the video, if you Google, there's a video of him saying stuff like, "Well, I'm 82 and I don't have a clue. I don't know who I am. I don't know anything." Well, that's starting to wake up to what's beyond the ego, the self-concept. It's a lot of, I mean, if you think of acting, it's very much a game, isn't it? You got to, if you were doing that as a career, you would start to have to realize that this is just an act, well, an act. I'm just playing a part, a role, and the roles shift and change all the time depending on what movie or what theatre production I'm in. So is any of it really real? And I think the ones who are more switched on, more open to awakening, just get that, and they go, I can't take this seriously. It's all just a play. All the world's a stage. All the men and women merely players. They have their entrances and their exits, and one man in his time may play many parts. It's Shakespeare. So there it is. He's telling us. If you like someone like Anthony Hopkins, he's probably actually played, he's played Shakespeare. He's acted in these plays. So you get exposed to these ideas, which then start to awaken the mind. Okay, so maybe it's all just a play. The entirety of life is a play. It's an act, and we all come in and we play these roles, and we attach so much importance to the roles, but actually, do they mean anything? If I'm so self-important in my role, and I'm so invested in the character, I'm an illusion because that character is not real. It's just a character in a play or a movie. That when the movie's over, that character's gone. So what was so important about it? It's all, fleeting. Okay, so that brings us to the practice, which we can do in a meditation. Right?
Yeah.
So I'll take you through this. Let me just read this. Perfect Love's voice speaks to me now. Read this before we do that. So let's read that slide.
Perfect Love's voice speaks to me now. Imagine the voice of perfect unconditional love saying the following and similar things to you as often as you can remember throughout the day to day, whenever you practice today's lesson. Kim, I love you. I've been thinking about you. You have my undivided attention, Kim. Kim, your creator has not forgotten you. I want you to hear my voice.
Mm. That's quite nice because it personalizes it.
Mm,
Your name is like,
mm,
okay, so actually, I mean, name is ultimately illusory, but it's addressing you. It becomes very personal then, rather than just some theoretical abstract concept. This voice is your most innermost awareness. It's your own true awareness that's always available, that can speak to you throughout the day if you allow it to. So this is a practice of saying, well, I'm going to allow it to that. I'm going to open up to that and allow this awareness to come in through a process of meditation, longer meditation, and then in the shorter practice periods, just try and connect with this presence and hear its voice. It doesn't always speak in a voice, like this in sentences, but it can just be a feeling. Okay, well, I feel peaceful. I'm feeling calm and peaceful. That's a nice feeling. So that's, the Holy Spirit. It doesn't have to put that into words. Sometimes words are helpful, sometimes they're not. So whatever's helpful will come. Okay, so yeah, let's do a meditation on it to close out the session, shall we? Want to do
mm.
that? All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a meditation on lesson 49. Just make yourself comfortable. I'll put you on mute. So you comfortably, your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes. And start off with a nice deep breath in through the nose. You're breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And a subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. The muscle used to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. Breathe in again. Feel like a warm wave of energy is rising up the spine to your heart center. One hand on your heart if you like. Another breath in and just draw it all the way up into the crown of your head. And so you're just going to open now to actually hearing Perfect Love's voice in this openness, in this spacious awareness you've created. Reminding you of its voice and of yourself, capital self. Approach this happiest and purest of thoughts with confidence, knowing that in doing so, you are uniting your awareness with pure formless awareness of perfect love, which wants you to hear its voice, gave you its voice to be heard. So if there are any doubts, if there's any obstructions in your mind, breathe in again. Just breathe in this loving awareness, perfect loving awareness. And you invite it in to every part of your mind, to every corner of your mind, every fiber of your being. You have a sense of just flushing out everything else. If there's any desires, any expectations, any resistance lurking there, just breathe in this higher awareness, pure formless awareness, perfect love, perfect loving awareness, whatever you want to call it. Try and experience it, feel it. Smile. Connect when you're in a smile. And just going to exhale and release. Just letting it all go. Have a sense of blowing out any dark thoughts, emotions, like clouds. out of your mouth. Letting it all go to the nothingness that it really is. Yeah, and just listen in deep silence. And very, very still. Open your mind. Go past all the raucous shrieks and sick imaginings. Cover your real thoughts. And obscure your eternal awareness of perfect love. So just breathing in, and with each breath, sink deeply into the peace. Each breath, you go a little bit deeper into the peace that waits for you beyond the frantic, riotous thoughts and sights and sounds of this insane world. Yeshua is just calling it for what it is. He's naming it, telling us exactly what this is. We're in an insane asylum. Saying, you do not live here. Say to yourself, I do not live here. I'm trying to reach my real home. It's a capital H. And I'm trying to reach a state of mind where I'm truly welcome. Trying to reach pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is just a pure awareness. Paradoxically, the harder you try, the less likely you won't find it. So just repeat today's idea. So I'm sustained by the love of God. Or, God's voice speaks to me all through the day. Or if you prefer the alternative, perfect love's voice speaks to me throughout the day. Repeat the idea. And then just focus on a sense of sinking down and inward. Let your breath just carry you down and inward. Each breath sinking deeper into the peace that awaits you. Going past a heavy cloud of insane thoughts, you might visualize a bank of heavy clouds, various desires, expectations, fears, worries, anxieties, and whatever else. That's all just thought. The thought isn't real, it's just ephemeral. These thoughts are like clouds, you can pass through them. Have a sense of just passing through them. They can't really hold you there because they have no substance. There's no true reality there. So have a sense of sinking inward toward the center of your being, where God or perfect love abides. And sink in with an attitude of confidence, sense of importance, the value, and the holiness of what you're doing. You can repeat the idea occasionally. Perfect love's voice speaking to me throughout the day. Right now, it's speaking to me. You find your mind wandering, just bring it back by repeating the idea. It's a very good way to refocus the mind. And if you succeed even a little, you'll feel a sense of peace, perhaps a sense of approaching or even entering into light. So if you get any kind of light experience, just go with that. You might see a light, you might feel lighter and freer, however it manifests for you. Just appreciate and enjoy the experience, knowing that it's just part of this awakening process. So sinking inwards, going down deeper and deeper with each breath towards the center of your thought system, where pure formless awareness of perfect love or God abides. Have a sense of peace, sense of light. Maybe you see a golden or white light. You journey within as your eyes go deeper and deeper each breath. Into the stillness, calm, quiet. There's really nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Breathe, relax, be still. Surrender into the stillness, the quietness, peace. Nothing else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just stay for a few minutes in this deep peace. Hear perfect love's voice speaking to you. Maybe just as a very peaceful feeling. Be aware of any other thoughts that come in. Any distracting thoughts come in, just repeat today's idea that perfect love's voice speaks to me right now. Refocus the mind. Focus on your breathing in and out through the nose. Observe the subtle sensations of the breath flowing in and out. Focus your mind on subtle sensations to bring it into the present moment. You need to. Maybe you're just deeply peaceful and you can just surrender into that peace. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, just relax and enjoy this profound sense of peace. So just gently coming back from this really deep state of peace. Can bring some awareness back into the body and the breath, senses and the world. And on the count of three, you can open your eyes. So one, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And pause at the top of the inhale. Smile, scan your mind. Noticing what's going on in your mind, thoughts, emotions, feelings in the body. Breathe into all that. Notice the subtle flow of air. And as you do that, smile, scan your mind. So any, if you call negative thoughts or emotions, observe them. And remind yourself of today's lesson. Perfect Love's voice speaks to me. The messenger of perfect love speaks to me. Says only perfect love is real. So why are you holding on to these illusions? You can just let them go. And so choose to do that now as you exhale. You count to two. As you're just blowing them away like dark clouds or black smoke. It's leaving you. It's going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. Notice how the air flows out, chest and stomach suck back in. Energy raised up in the crown of your head, sides back down, front channel of your body. And to rest in your stomach, your groin, your buttocks. And just the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. You breathe in again, notice the subtle flow of air into the nostrils. Notice what you're smelling, perhaps. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. Full maximum inhale breath. Breathing in, hold it at the top. Smile. And scan your mind. And remind yourself that perfect love's voice speaking to you right now. It's always there, always available. So just let it go. Blow it out. Breathe with your breath. One last time. It's going, gone like a dark cloud or black smoke, leaving you. Lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. So you completely empty, and then just rest in this emptiness for a few moments. Not even breathing, just enjoying the complete stillness, peace. And the gap between breaths is the cessation of all movement of the mind, complete stillness, taking you into the eternal stillness. Has been called many things: the ground of being, money, philosophy, or peace of God that surpasses all understanding in the ancient Christian teaching. Doesn't matter what you call it, matters is that you experience it. So just really connect with it, anchor it in, and know that this is always there. It's with you for the rest of the evening and on into the week ahead. Moment by moment, always there. You can always call upon it. So it is. Amen. And now, on the count of 3, open your eyes. Just take a minute or so, just to look around the room, just observing various objects in the room in this very calm, quiet, detached way. Find yourself as you look around, the perfect love's voice is still with you, even though you're back in the world of perception. Your most dominant sense for most people, a visual sense, is there. But also be aware of what you're touching and feeling and tasting and smelling and hearing. But none of it really matters. You can just stay in this very, very peaceful, calm state. Hopefully you experience quite deeply in the meditation. This goes with you wherever you go, as expressed in the course lesson. God goes with you wherever you go. God goes with me wherever I go. So, because this presence, this awareness goes with you wherever you go. It's not separate from you in any way. So just anchor the state in, with the intention to stay here. You might just need to top yourself up. Yeshua reminds you to repeat the idea frequently. Eyes open when necessary, closed when possible. Sit quietly. You might be ready for bed, so it's fine. I'm just going to go carry this nice, peaceful, calm state with you to bed. Go to sleep on this note and set the intention to wake up on the same very calm, quiet, peaceful note. So it is said, so it is done. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and of tonight's session.
Thank you, Jono. Namaste.
Yeah, it's only a pleasure, Kim. So yeah, I'll see you soon, I hope. If you want to chat about that other thing, we can do that tomorrow. It's probably too late now. So
Yeah.
you
Thank
want
you,
you want to have
Johnny.
you want to have a chat tomorrow evening, just
Yeah.
let me know what time we can call. We can speak.
Okay.
Is sort of 7 your time work, or
Maybe more like 8 to 8:30 my time.
yeah, okay, it's fine.
Okay, that's right.
Just give me a call when you're ready.
Okay. All right.
All right, thanks, Kim.
All right. Namaste.
Best day. Sleep well.
You too. Thank you.
All
Night.
right.
Bye.
Have a good day tomorrow. Okay, so that is a wrap for today. Thank you to Kim for joining. If you enjoyed this session and you like more of this, you can go to lifebull.com and subscribe there to join our Telegram group, where I give out much of what I shared today, the free daily quote, inspirational quote, and some commentary on that, the daily lesson, a meditation on the lesson to help you practice it, as well as login details for the live Zoom sessions, which happen 6 times a week. So check it out, lifebull.com, sign up to Telegram, and you'll be notified whenever I go live. I hope to catch you in one of these live sessions. If that's a step too far, then why not just subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and you'll be notified whenever I go live, which is a few times a week. A lot going to be happening in the community. Relaunching it, so watch this space and join our next masterclass on the 30th of April. You can go to theaolg.com to do that. I'll put all these links below, so check it out, and I hope to see you, to connect with you then on one of these live calls. So thanks for watching and listening, and namaste, which means the true self in me acknowledges and honors that same true self in you. So much love, peace, and joy in that self. See you soon.